Prime Big Deal Days is coming October 8th and 9th. Woohoo! Which can lead to involuntary deal squeals, like the infamous deal on a new massager squeal. Yeah! Save big on Prime Big Deal Days, October 8th and 9th.
This is the Janine Pirro Show. Now, here's Judge Janine Pirro.
Welcome back to the Judge Janine Tunnel to Towers Foundation show. Joining me now is former White House Press Secretary Hogan Gidley, who is now the senior comms advisor to the American First Policy Institute. And you have seen him on television, and you've also heard him on this show before. Welcome to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation show, Hogan. Look, we have something like 40 days left before the election. People are already voting in some parts of the country. Where are we? They say it's a dead heat. What will break this dead heat?
Well, it's going to be the blocking and tackling. Listen, a lot of interesting things going on right now. It looks like the entrenched voters for Trump are there. They're not going anywhere. Entrenched voters for Kamala Harris are there. They're not going anywhere either. So you're setting up something where potentially it's an outside force that could change the trajectory of this election right now as we see it, or change the stalemate, if you will. If there's a war that breaks out between Israel and Lebanon, or something else catastrophic with Russia and Ukraine, who knows where the voter will turn to at that particular point in time. But nonetheless, I think it still comes down to the non-sexy parts of politics, the blocking and tackling, the nuts and bolts. This is about voter registration, voter mobilization, poll watchers, poll workers, ballot chasers, where you can do that, ballot harvesting, where it's legal. Those are the things that really get the numbers solidly in your corner. And if you don't have those ground games, then it's very difficult to kind of solidify a win, much less change any trajectory of where the race is. But I will say this. If you go back and look, and I think this is really important numbers-wise as we're talking about kind of the state of the race, because Donald Trump right now is outperforming where he was previous. So on
you mean in 16 or 20?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, in 16, his national average was 44.3, and he outperformed that by 3 points. So around 47 is where he ended up.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And that was 2016. In 2020, he was at 43% at this time, Real Clear Politics average, and he finished 4 points better than that on Election Day, still around 47. Right now, he sits at 47.2 already. So if he gets that extra 3%, he's over 50%. This race is over.
Yeah, but why?
A lot can happen.
Okay, I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought.
No, you're fine.
But everybody's saying it's a dead heat. You're counting on his outperforming his numbers.
I'm not counting on him outperforming. What I'm saying is, if past his prologue, this has happened in the last two cycles. And at this point in time during the election, as we kind of get a little nerdy here, Judge, he's outperforming where he was in 2016 and 2020.
Fantastic.
Because, see, what you've seen is governing from a different group. Now we have that whiplash effect of, wait a minute, I could afford gas and groceries a few years ago. Wait a minute. I didn't have illegal aliens taking over our healthcare system, our college tuition funds, our neighborhoods, our hotels, our apartments. I didn't have wars breaking out all over the world. That whiplash effect has given Trump, I think, a better representation in the electorate right now, who said, okay, I may not like everything about Trump. I may not like everything about Kamala Harris, but I know this, my life was better off. My potential future looked brighter with Donald Trump in the office.
You know what's interesting, with young people and who don't remember 2016 to 2020. They were either, living with their parents or, too young to even think about it. Where are they going? Does it depend upon their age, their ethnicity? Some of them are pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian. I don't quite understand. That's the youth vote. Where are they right now?
Well, interestingly enough, again, from what I've seen, Donald Trump is outperforming past Republican presidential candidates, including his old campaigns, with the youth vote. I don't know if he's made enough ground to actually make a change, because Kamala Harris is obviously really leaning in heavily into young people. But there has kind of been a resurgence, as you've seen, with groups like Daily Wire and Turning Point, really targeting young people. And they're starting to mobilize and move toward our side on certain things. Who knows where it's going to go? But you just mentioned, remember, these kids a few years ago, whether they live with their parents or not, they were forced to miss graduations. They were forced to miss their prom.
But who are they going to blame that on?
Well, exactly. At the time, though, remember, when Joe Biden got elected, he kept them out of school. He still kept them shut down in this country. So I talked to someone the other day who was very apolitical, and again, this is anecdotal, but a friend of mine who has children in college, high school, and one that's out of college. And he said their kids told them at the dinner table, we aren't going to forget whose fault this was. And he's not political either way. He just said they remember they had a chance to go back. The all clear was given, and Joe Biden was the one who kept them locked down, kept them away from their friends.
Yeah, well, if we could get that message out there, I mean, then, and if they make that connection. But, Harris now is doing all these interviews with Stephanie Ruhle and Oprah Winfrey. And even the New York Times says, she gives roundabout answers, and if I hear her say one more time, I grew up middle class, and I consider the ambitions and the aspirations of what has she done?
Yeah, it's so funny because they're in a weird spot, are the Democrats. They want her to be out there to try and fix some of the damage that her policies have caused. They want to get her out there to explain where she's going to go. The problem is once you do that, then she becomes unlikable. Very radical, unreasonable, because no one understands what in the world she's saying. Every time she's had a campaign that has had any length to it, she's crashed and burned eventually, right? She did that in 2019. Never got a vote in the primary, obviously.
Yeah, but nobody cares about that anymore.
Well, but they care about the fact that she can't answer questions. You see this regardless of demographic. You're hearing this like that was a bunch of gobbledygook. And credit to the American people who are paying attention going, I thought they'd hear that and go, that's so flowery. They're going to love it. So the theatrics of the pausing and the sincere words, they realize she says the word inspiring or a derivation of the word inspire 4 times in the same sentence.
How about holistic?
Like,
that's the latest.
What just happened here? Yeah. What just happened here? And I think people are realizing that.
I don't know. I hope so.
I hope.
Anyway, Hogan Gidley, we love having you on the show. It's good to have a few laughs. It is it's a very interesting time right now. Everybody is working to the bone on this. It is a very, very tight election. We'll see what happens. We love having you on the Tunnel to Towers show. And I hope that you come back. In the meantime, get out there and keep fighting. Hogan Gidley.